Judge ruled today that Michael Cohen's return to prison earlier this month was retaliation, that the Department of Justice tried to silence him by ordering conditions on his home confinement. Cohen, who was Trump's former personal attorney, began serving a 3-year prison sentence last year for financial crimes and lying to Congress. But in May, due to health concerns related to coronavirus, Cohen was released and allowed to serve out his term at home. Then Cohen was sent back to prison on July 9th after he did not agree to a complete ban on speaking in public, which included for him writing a book, something Cohen is already working on. Cohen then sued Attorney General Bill Barr, arguing that his First Amendment rights were being violated. A judge agreed and today expressed shock at the order for Cohen's silence, saying, quote, "I've never seen such a clause in 21 years of being a judge and sentencing people. How can I take any other inference but that it was retaliatory?" Joining our conversation, former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance and professor of journalism and politics at Morgan State University and contributor for the Griot, our friend Jason Johnson. Joyce, let me start with you on the law. On what before the judge struck it down and said that there had never been anything like this in 21 years on the bench, what was the law that Barr was leaning on to try to jail him and silence him and punish him in the first place?
When someone violates the conditions of a term of supervised release, you've been convicted, you've served most of your federal prison sentence, perhaps all of it, and you're about to be released. Even though you're getting out, there are still conditions that are attached. You can't commit new federal crimes, for instance. And if you do violate those terms, your supervised release can be revoked in a series of hearings that occur in court. There are due process concerns that are attached. And that process is most decidedly not what happened here, Nicolle. This was a sudden and arbitrary revocation of Cohen's release that defied the typical procedure that prosecutors are used to invoking when someone violates conditions of release.
Jason Johnson, I want to come to you with a question about Bill Barr. He's often covered as Darth Vader, but he seems to me to be more incompetent than people sometimes recognize in the day-to-day coverage of his Justice Department. He's now been overruled for being, it would appear, extrajudicial in his attempts to jail Cohen for trying to write a book. Where is the distinction between being a thuggish bouncer or a fixer or sort of a Ray Donovan and being the country's attorney general? What are the differences?
The only difference is that William Barr has a federal badge that he can get into the Capitol building because he's essentially has the United States authority to do the same sort of abusive things that Michael Cohen used to do for Trump when he was just a real estate investor and a mogul in New York City. That is one of the things that has been so terrible, that William Barr has consistently behaved as Donald Trump's personal lawyer, his personal consigliere in legal matters, as opposed to someone who's supposed to be the top cop of the United States of America. It's the thing that for all the problems that I may have with him policy-wise, it's the thing that Jeff Sessions refused to do. And the problem is, it's not just that William Barr attempted to retaliate against Cohen. It's not just that William Barr continues to sort of go out and met out vendettas for President Trump. He has weakened the entire judicial process in the United States as local authorities and the FBI and sheriffs all have to renegotiate how they conduct the business of the law when they know that William Barr at any minute can come in and try and change things if it doesn't suit what the president wants.
I really want to drill down on this point that Jason's making, Joyce, and I want to give you a two-part question. Our friend Andrew Weissman writes this. Stone, that's Roger Stone, versus Cohen under the Trump administration. If you don't speak about POTUS, that would be Stone, you go free. Versus if you seek to speak, that would be Cohen, who testified before Congress, you go to jail. Kudos to Judge Hellerstein for calling it out. Let me just throw two more examples because I really mean this. There may be private conduct that I don't know about that doesn't fit this mold, but everything public facing is Barr functioning essentially as an extrajudicial fixer for Trump. And it's driving out career prosecutors over the Flynn sentencing, driving out career prosecutors over the Stone handling, leaking to the press that he was against the commutation, but I don't know. I didn't check today before I came on the air, but I think he's still there. I think my phone would have flashed if he left. It's suing Mary Trump for her book. It is sending Michael Cohen to jail for seeking to write his book. I mean, where is the scrutiny from Congress on Barr? And I know he's heading to Capitol Hill next week, but it doesn't feel urgent enough for the pace of his trespasses.
I think that's exactly right. In fact, the urgency started at least a year ago, and we're still sitting here asking the important question that you asked today. So the reality is that Trump has completed the abuse of the criminal justice system. And the most discouraging thing in many ways is that he's done it with the Attorney General sitting at his side, enabling it. By that, I mean exactly the examples that Andrew Weissman gives. Trump has used the criminal justice system to help his friends. He's abused his power as president to get good deals for his friends when they run afoul of the law. Now we're seeing an even more sinister side. He's using the criminal justice system to punish people he doesn't like, people that he thinks are his enemies. So Michael Cohen is sent back to prison for no reason. The judge says that there's no inference other than it was retaliation because he wanted to write a book about Trump. That is not how a criminal justice system works in a democracy. That is the work of a banana dictator, right? That is just a banana republic writ large when the criminal justice system is being used to hurt the president's enemies. And so this is the fulfillment of Trump's campaign promise. Lock her up. Lock up our enemies. Abuse the criminal justice system. That's what he's brought America to.
Jason, it's something else, too, and I'm waiting for the banana republics to call and say we're insulting banana republics. It's also the conduct of a man who knows he's guilty of something. Because you go back to his glee when Jeff Sessions lost. The original sin that Jeff Sessions committed was he was not going to shield Trump from the Russia investigation. Right. Did we ever learn? Why was Trump so damn worried about the Russia investigation? Jim Comey fired because he refused to commit his loyalty. Why did he need loyalty from the country's FBI director? Why was Trump so sure that he would end up in the crosshairs of the FBI? And you just go down the line. Don McGahn eventually got pushed out because he spent hours, were believed to be up to 30 hours, with Robert Mueller. You've now got Cohen. They wanted him back in jail before he talked. I mean, action after action after action can be drawn to the conduct of a guilty man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what they say in The Usual Suspects, that the guilty guy is the one who sleeps at night because he knows he's dirty and he's going to do everything he can to get out. That's been Donald Trump. He has been the guilty guy all along. He's been firing people and removing people. He's not acting like someone who's innocent. But I think, and this is something that I think is really scary about all of this, Nicolle, is the overall use and abuse of our criminal justice system that we've seen under this president. Over 7,000 people have been released from federal prison due to COVID, right? And Trump is using releases from prison for political reasons. He doles out pardons for political reasons. I mean, letting Michael Cohen out of jail under the guise of we're concerned about COVID. Look, there's tons of people in prisons in Texas and Georgia and California and other states who are dying of COVID right now. All of this, the entire criminal justice system, the ability to jail people is just a ruse. It's just another level of power that Trump can use. And he really thought, look, I let out Manafort, maybe he'll be nice. He really thought that he could buy off Michael Cohen by letting him out of the jail. And it turned out that it didn't work. And then he tried to punish him again. And this entire justice system has been corrupted and turned into basically the hand of the king, which is Donald Trump, as long as he's got Barr covering for him.
And just to put a pin in this one, what kind of person says this? I wish her well. I wish her well. I wish her well about a criminally charged sex trafficker. Joyce Vance, thank you for spending time with us. Jason staying put. After the break.